A group of scientists are sent to the African Congo after the original expedition ends in a mysterious disaster. Once stuck in the jungle, they quickly learn they're in for more than they bargained for. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb Leger,
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
and welcome to a new episode of Beyond the Bad. All right. Today, based off that description, which honestly was one of the harder ones I had to come up with because the film's plot is kind of not the best. We'll be talking about the 90s other Michael Crichton adaptation, Congo. One of those films that was I would say you see is pretty stereotypical with the summer blockbuster season usually, which is it was trashed horrendously by critics, but was a big box office hit. Look at the numbers for 1995. It was a fucking smash. So it became a huge hit with audiences. It that has kind of carried over. I know a lot of people that saw, talking to other friends of mine that are older that saw this when it came out, or I know like you when you saw it as a kid, still like it for what it's worth. So it does have a pretty sizable cult following to this day, really, or fan base, not even cult fan base to this day. So take that for what it's worth. But with that, I'm going to shoot over to Connor here for those good old scores. What he has to say.
Before I do that, I do just want to point out, I didn't see this when I was a kid. I saw this for the first time about 2 years ago.
Oh, I thought you saw it when you were a kid. I thought that's when you saw.
I watched it on Netflix 2 years ago, and I was like, you know what? I've seen worse. This has a 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, 29% audience score, so pretty despised universally. Critics' consensus reads, mired in campy visual effects and charmless characters, Congo is a suspenseless adventure that betrays little curiosity about the scientific concepts it purports to care about. Yeah, science ain't very sciencey in Congo, but this is from the same guy who did like Jurassic Park and Westworld. It's science fiction for a reason, folks.
Yeah, but what's funny is that you name those movies and you look at this one here. To me, we'll get more into the awards. It's not really the science fiction part because I don't care how much your factual your science fiction is. It's like you said, it's fiction's in the title alone. Yeah. For me, it had a lot to do like the story is like one of the most unengaging stories.
Fair enough.
And really kind of squanders his plot. Again, I'll get more into it, but the plot that like is kind of told to you from people who do love this movie and like what the description tells you on IMDb and like the cover of the Blu-ray or DVD or whatever you own has. I'll get into it, but it's not exactly what's promised. It takes a while to get to what's promised.
It does. It is. I mean, this movie, it should be more about the intelligent killer gorillas. Like that should be the movie, but that's really like the last 15 minutes of the movie. Everything else is like African politics and like searching through the jungle. They could have handled this better for sure.
Yeah. Again, Hinton for one of my awards. I'll get into that later. I don't want to get too deep into that, but yeah, my personal take was I thought it was okay. Not the worst thing I've watched on this show. Definitely, honestly, not the worst thing I watched in general. There's one film that one day will make its way on here, probably for a special episode that I will talk ad nauseum until you guys get tired of it, and that is Things. That's the title. I've seen some stuff. But with that said, not the worst thing, but not the best. I think that's actually how I described it to me. It's like not the best thing, but it's also not the worst. It's like squarely in the middle.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with this. Michael Crichton's adaptations outside Jurassic Park are incredibly hit or miss. You've got, Westworld, which is great. You got Timeline, which is pretty shitty. You've got The Andromeda Strain, which has been done like 3 times. Rising Sun, which sucks ass. And then you got Congo, which is like watchable. So, yeah, it's, I don't have a beef with it, but I get why people hate it.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I guess to an extent, if you were one of those that saw us when it came out, I get it. I understand that nostalgia factor, so I'm not going to take out that. Plenty of people shit on the original Space Jam, and I know my nostalgia fogs everything, so I love that movie.
Yeah.
But before we kind of go further with like the production stuff, because this film does feature killer apes, and I was kind of having issues coming up with I had a lot of issues coming up with stuff for this episode because this movie didn't provide me with a lot like I thought it would. I am loosely using this to talk about creature features. So with that, and plus most creature features that we have covered probably won't be on the show because there's actually a lot of good ones. So with that note, right, this is a film with killer apes for a little bit. The author of Jurassic Park. With that, it's a little bit of a two-part. First off, I would like to ask you, what are your thoughts on creature features? I don't think we've actually really talked about that here. I know we briefly went over Alligator, but we mostly focused on Alligator, the film, and my own childhood experience with it. So this is a chance to kind of go over your thoughts on creature features, and then outside of obviously your big ones like Jaws and Jurassic Park, probably some personal favorites of yours as well.
Okay. I love creature features. I love, man versus nature movies. I like when it's just, a couple people versus some giant ass snake or shark or monkey or just something that's, nature put here to fuck us up. I like that. Like, I don't count, werewolves and supernatural shit as creature features. Those are its own thing. Some of my favorites, let's see. I do love Anaconda because it's so ridiculous and so horribly acted, but it's the only place I can go to watch Jon Voight get swallowed by a giant snake and then regurgitated. So, I mean, what more do you need?
I stand by Anaconda. That movie is great.
I love that nobody told Jon Voight, like, that's the voice you're going to go with. That's what we're going to do this whole movie.
I feel like they tried, and he probably just Jon Voighted them and was like, no, I'm doing this. I'm Jon Voight.
Yeah, you're not right. You're not wrong. That's probably what happened. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'm planning on watching it again pretty soon just for kicks. But I remember as a kid, I really liked Arachnophobia.
Oh, I haven't seen that in years. I don't know. I watched it on HBO when I was a kid one day.
Yeah, I think I caught it on TV as well. Directed by Frank Marshall, the guy who did Congo. So he had a bit of a 90s vibe going with creature features. But that one's just, very powerful, deadly spider, winds up in America, starts fucking with this town. And the only one who can stop it is Jeff Daniels. And, I love Jeff Daniels to death. He's one of my favorite actors. So I remember being very entertaining and also really silly. So I'm looking forward to giving that another watch.
That's a good one. Thinking on the lane of spiders there. I don't know if you've seen, but Eight-Legged Freaks is actually really good.
I've heard of that one. Yeah, I haven't gotten to check that out.
Oh, dude, it's like it purposely goes for like that 50s vibe when for anyone who wants a little creature feature history. 50s were awash and essentially creature features because everything was getting, the Cold War was causing nuclear concerns. So movies had that theme of a nuclear fallout causing something to get radically huge and attack. They're not good, but they're campy and fun as hell if you've seen any of them. So
I took a class in my undergrad in college. It was the Southwest in film. So it was like a look into films that have been made in the Southwest. And one that we watched was Them, 1954 with the giant ants. And that's when I learned about all that, the, radiation and, Cold War radiation in film, creating big monsters and being an allegory for real life Cold War scares. And that's really cool. Wasn't an amazing movie, but entertaining. It's got that scene where the big ant just like drops a rib cage and you're like, oh shit, he ate that cop. And that was pretty hardcore for 1954.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, they're not great, but they're campy. And the reason I mention that is because Eight-Legged Freaks goes for that vibe. So it's like a movie made in like the 2000s, I believe. I forget the exact year. But it goes for that vibe of that 50s campy creature feature sci-fi stuff.
Nice.
And it's very tongue-in-cheek, it's very comedic. It has David Arquette in it as a badass, which is great. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it, it's a very underseen film in my opinion. It's really really good.
I remember when we did a top 5 creature feature on the alligator filmgasm episode, and I know we both had Crawl on our
I
list.
fucking love Crawl so much.
Crawl is one of the most simple but brilliant movies I've ever seen. Just girl and her dad trapped in a flooding house with 2 gators. That's all you need. It's done so well.
Yeah, and I think that to me, before we name some more movies, because also it's Aja who did Piranha, which I think was fucking awesome. I love Piranha, it's so much fun. But like what I love about the creature features is that it's taking a very simple concept, like you said, right? Nature versus man, essentially. But it's saying, how do we make this entertaining? How do we make this something? And how do we make it even somewhat believable too? You know what I mean? Like, because obviously it's not like when I go out, I'm scared of a fucking alligator just randomly attacking me, right? Or ants or all that stuff. So it's a matter of like, how do we make this believable for it to happen? Make it and then you're told that line of being serious, but you pull it off somehow, or just completely embracing camp, or like you kind of saw Recall, where they're like, let's just have fun, which I usually think to me is the perfect balance for my creature features is let's just have fun, because I'm literally making a movie where alligators are going to just keep fucking you up, or giant ants going to eat you, or piranhas are going to attack you during spring break. So let's just have fun with the concept, right? Let's have a good time. I think that's what I love about that subgenre so much is it's one of the most fun subgenres of horror.
Yeah, I've yet to really be disappointed by a creature feature. You often know what you're going to get. They know what they're selling. They don't try to hype it up too much. It's like, I'm here, you're here, let's have fun. And I like that. I respect that. Piranha, the remake, is a great example because that movie is just vicious little fishes just eating porn stars. Yeah. That's the whole movie. And how do you not just enjoy that? It's wonderful.
Yeah, and then you could say the ultimate evolution of the creature feature in a way. Like the ultimate evolution was eventually with Godzilla and the introduction of kaiju, as we like to call them, but obviously really big monsters. And that's it opened up a whole nother subgenre I've always loved, and still going strong as well. I know I just read today that, Kurt Russell and Riot Russell got cast in the Monsterverse show coming out on Apple TV Plus. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, they're doing an in canon with Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong TV show on Apple TV Plus, and they cast Kurt and Russell on it. So
this will be where we get kind of Godzilla's B-list roster, Gigan and Destoroyah.
I think the way it sounds is that they're going to explore Monarch more in depth this time instead of it just being a vague company.
Well, that's great, but like I'm here for monsters.
It's a really vague plot right now, so we'll see. I know they're actually working on the movie anyway, so I don't know. I don't have Apple TV Plus, so I mean, I just thought it was cool that they got the Russells, both of them.
That is cool. We've never really explored kaiju on any of our shows. We've yet to really tackle that. But I'd love to go into some Godzilla at some point because there's like 30 of those. Like we'd have a blast.
Oh yeah. So that would be a blast. So yeah, my thing is, and it probably had to do a lot with, I know we talked about it when I saw alligator as a kid and Jaws. It's probably why I love creature features so much. Like, and I'm always willing to embrace it, right? Like even something like, I know it's had to come around since it came out, but Snakes on a Plane. If you take it for what it is, it's a goofy, fun film. Like,
if you're going into a movie called Snakes on a Plane, and you have any sort of expectations, or like you're comparing this to the fucking Godfather, that is on you. It's called Snakes on a Plane. What do you expect?
Yeah, it's like I hope, if anything, I hope the film gives me exactly what's in the title. Another good one, and to me the only other shark film I've decently enjoyed, outside of Jaws, obviously, Deep Blue Sea. Yeah. So much fun. Yes, some of those sharks are CGI'd and it's nose blowing some shots, and yes, it's a nonsensical story, but goddamn, again, what I talk about, right, these creature features having fun. The film has fun. Like, it has so much fun with its concept. Obviously, people know about it now, but it's famous for the fact that they got someone like Samuel Jackson, who was really rising at that time. I won't say peak, but he was definitely on the rise. Getting big. People knew who he was, like they do now. So when you were like, "Oh, he's in the movie," and then spoiler, they fucking just get rid of him halfway through the movie in one of the best scenes.
Yeah, that's a good one. One movie I really want to do on this show, I haven't seen it yet, but the concept alone makes me laugh. Orca, the killer whale, where they were like, let's do Jaws, but with a different animal. And they went with an orca. So not exactly critically acclaimed, pretty hated. I think would be a great episode on this show for sure.
Yeah. I know we have on the list another type of creature feature on the show, but from what my research has shown, my advanced research is actually a cult classic, so we might end up liking this one. I might end up liking it.
Maybe. You said only other good shark movie up to Jaws. I want to dispute that with The Shallows.
I forget about The Shallows every time, but yes, The Shallows was good. And I will say I did like the first Open Water. I know that's a very love it, hate it film, and I totally understand why.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the first Open Water though.
I haven't seen that legitimately because that's a real fear of mine. So I know it's going to really get in my head, and I just haven't really been ready for that yet.
Yeah, that's fair. Shallows has a little bit more fun than Open Water does.
Yeah, Open Water, I know about it. I know what happens. It sounds like the bleakest fucking movie ever made.
Yeah, it's there's like no hope, and it's based off a true story.
God,
what I read is not far off of what happened. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, see, that's just not. I mean, I'll see it eventually, but I'm not in any hurry to just lose all faith in humanity like that.
Oh god. Yeah. No, I'll give the Shallows. Like I said, my only complaint I'll say is the fucking trying to tell me that Galveston's water is crystal blue. God, no. I don't know any crystal blue beaches in the state of Texas because it's off the Gulf of Mexico.
There are no crystal blue beaches in the entire continental United States. I mean, Hawaii's doing its thing over there, but in the continental states, that does not exist.
No, not one bit. So besides that, good movie. One that I'd say is underseen in America because it was an Australian release. But Rogue, about this alligator that fucks people up. Really good movie.
That sounds exciting. I really want to see Beast. Idris Elba versus the lion.
I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, like I said, I'm always a sucker for these films, like was it a recent one? I guess kind of creature feature, but they took it a lot more seriously. But The Gray with the wolves attacking.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. My only complaint is that I wanted to see Liam Neeson punch a wolf in the face. And you know what? I don't think I'm a monster for saying that because it was Liam Neeson in his action career. It's a movie where wolves are hunting him down and killing him. I kind of want to see it. And then they tease it. You have to see when he puts the shit on his hand. I'm like, oh yeah. And then he cuts to cries. I was like, you suck.
I remember on the alligator show, I shouted out Cujo, which is just one of the simplest, smartest horror concepts ever. Just St. Bernard gets bit by a bat, goes rabid, tries to kill this mom and kid. Such an easy concept. King wrote it in a weekend on a Coke binge, ended up becoming one of my favorite books he's written. And the movie was not bad.
It was considered one of his better adaptations.
Yeah. I mean, how do you fuck that up? It's dog, mom, son, car.
Might want to watch how you say that because we've seen how they can fuck up a King adaptation real quick.
Thankfully, that he put the kibosh on this whole like canine unit joint operations bullshit they were trying to do with Cujo, turn him into some like military cyborg dog. He was like, "Fuck that! You can't have it anymore."
Yeah, I'm glad that was like, not going to happen because I don't want that. But yeah. As you guys can tell, creature features. I think it's safe to say we both enjoy creature features for the most part.
Yeah.
I would say of all the various subgenres that exist in horror, because there's a lot. Probably one of the most purest form of escapism, I would say, in horror is creature feature, because it's asking you to get it behind a very outlandish concept. Well, outlandish extent. I mean, alligator attacks happen, shark attacks happen, bear attacks happen. Not obviously on the scale that they are expecting you to think in these movies, but it's an outlandish concept. Saying, look, let's just take the ride with us, have a good time. And 9 times out of 10, I do, as long as it's not a fucking sci-fi original movie.
Speaking of bear attacks, I do have one last one to shout out that I thought was pretty decent. 1997's The Edge, starring Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. Really cool movie. Anthony Hopkins is this like billionaire software dude who's like taking a pleasure flight through the woods. Plane crashes. Him and Baldwin are the only survivors. Baldwin's the like family friend who's been fucking Hopkins' wife, and Hopkins just found out about it, and they end up trapped in the woods with this killer bear hunting them, and they have to figure out a way to survive and also fight this bear and get back to civilization. And it's very much like it's the ultimate man versus wild situation. And I thought it was really good. So The Edge, check that one out.
Okay, I will. I'm always on for a good creature feature. So, all right, but yeah, if you haven't checked any of these films out, check them out. I highly recommend Alligator. Well, yes, Alligator, but Crawl at the top of your list. I cannot express how much I really enjoy the shit out of that movie.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Oh yeah. So with that, unless we got anything more to add, I know we could probably go down this train of creature features for a while, but unless we have more to add on that, it's time for development hell.
Let's do it.
All right. So, as everyone knows, this film came out in 1995. Starting in the late 1970s, Michael Crichton was having a hell of a career at that time. The adaptation of his novel, The Andromeda Strain, the one in 1971 was a huge hit, and followed 2 years later by his directorial film debut with Westworld, which was also a huge hit. So, caused him to be quite in demand in Hollywood. And by in demand, I mean like as a novelist, a screenwriter, all that stuff. So he was having a good time. So in 1979, he decided to adapt one of his own novels, The Great Train Robbery, with Sean Connery in the lead. Apparently, he had such a great time working on that film, he began writing a screenplay specifically for him and Connery to work together again. And that would be the beginnings of Congo. So this is an adaptation because the novel came out, but he started with the script first.
Interesting. He was a pretty decent screenwriter too. Westworld is such a great movie. I've watched the first 2 seasons of the show, and it was pretty good, but the movie was so tight and precise and just very, very much a horror Western sci-fi adventure that it was just unforgettable. Really cool movie. And then he basically it's Jurassic Park with robots. It's the same story.
That's what I hear from a lot of people. I hear a lot of people that will tell you the movie's really good, and the show, it's almost like from what I kind of gather from hearing people talk about it, it's like it's good, but almost because it's such a huge success and they keep renewing it, it's almost become a victim of that whole like some seasons very wildly in quality, or like they're not really able to keep it as tight and contained. So some people are kind of having issues with things past season 1 of the show.
It only needed 1 season. If Westworld was just 1 season, it would be one of the most brilliant shows in history. But season 2 got so convoluted to the point where I wasn't really that into it anymore, and I haven't seen 3 and 4, and I don't really plan to until it's done.
I haven't watched it one bit because I've learned, as much as I love these movies, HBO and Showtime, all them, I've kind of learned to also kind of approach those shows with trepidation because so many times they start out good and then it goes down a route. And honestly, Game of Thrones was like the biggest thing with me being like, let me just be careful now with you people because you find a way to betray me.
Fair enough. I agree. But I forgot about The Great Train Robbery. I've always wanted to see that. With Crichton, I've only read Jurassic Park and The Lost World. I haven't read any of his other work. I do own Congo, and I've been meaning to read that for like 15 years. I just haven't gotten around to it.
I mean, you're better than me. I haven't read any of his books. I did finally for cheap buy Jurassic Park and The Lost World books to read them one day. It's just so I can see the differences for myself. But even on the movie side, other than Jurassic Park, I haven't really watched anything of his outside of that. So,
well, to be fair, like outside Jurassic Park, it's not great. Like there's really not a lot of good adaptations of his work. And I don't know if that's because the work's bad or if like the filmmakers are bad. Because I mean, yeah, everything I've seen has been pretty shit apart from Westworld and Jurassic Park.
All right. Well, then I think I'm okay in my life. I am looking forward to reading those books though, just see how different they are. With that in mind, so okay, again, like I said, book's not out yet, so he's coming up. These are the beginnings of Congo, which at the time he was hoping to have Sean Connery. As you probably know, I couldn't find a reason why Sean Connery wasn't in the final film, so don't ask me why he's not in it. I couldn't find that reason.
He would drop out of stuff for the weirdest reasons. He turned down so many movies because he just didn't get it.
Yep, and most of those are his biggest regrets, which is also kind of funny. I'm like, you probably should have just stopped trying to get it and just like said yes, and then maybe just talk to the director about what you don't understand.
That's what happened. He said no to The Matrix. That was a huge hit. He said no to Lord of the Rings. Huge hit. So the next script that popped in his desk, he's like, I don't get this, but I didn't get those. So this is probably going to be a hit. And he signed on for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
And then he retired until the day he died.
Yep.
So Crichton would pitch to the now defunct 20th Century Fox. That's right. Fox. I kid you not, with only a title and a vague concept.
Isn't it crazy that some people have that kind of clout?
I was about to say, because of his clout, they fucking agreed to it.
Hear me out. Smart Monkeys, Lost City, Telecommunications, Talking Gorilla, Congo. That's how it went down, I guarantee you.
I read that and I was flabbergasted. I'm like, you went to someone and went. So I got this movie called Congo, and it involves apes in a lost city. What you think? They're like, fucking, we'll give you 50 million. How's that sound? You know what? You want more than that? We'll give you more.
One thing this show particularly has done for me is really made me reevaluate how I think of the filmmaking process and how fucking ridiculous it is sometimes.
It's funny. Luckily, that's not happening with this show, but I listen to a lot of podcasts like the Movie Critic and stuff. You know, Adam Green and Joe Lynch, people that work in the industry, and man, the stories they tell, I'm like, oh my God.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And the notes apparently producers have given them, but like, hey, can you, why are they editing the film? So why is it really orange in this scene? He's like, and Adam Green's like, yeah, because we're color correcting. What do you mean?
No producer note for me has ever been stupider than the one Spielberg got for Gremlins, where he was like, hey, some producer was like, you know, there's a lot of gremlins in this movie.
I love Spielberg's response.
Yeah, he's like, well, I could get rid of them and just call the movie People. The guy was like, fair enough.
Yeah, I think my favorite was Adam Green when he said he was working on an Aquaman script. Well, before obviously we got the one with Jason Momoa, and a producer note he got back was, why is there so much water?
Oh, God. It's like the producers are like the guy in the group project who doesn't do anything, but constantly wants to put, get his input in there, but he's not going to do anything.
You know, before Jason Blum felt the need to say the comment he said on how great he is at getting people, I'm like, he's a great and honestly, he is a great producer because he seems to actually understand the filmmaking process. And because of it, look at how fruitful Blumhouse has been for horror.
True.
Very true. Or like A24, right? Their producers over there clearly are like, hey, we don't care. We'll just give you what you need.
Yeah. You're the money. Finance it. Trust the people with creative juices to do the right thing and make your movie.
Yeah. It's amazing how that works out. These big studios, though, it's most producers, in case anyone's wondering, are people that actually have never worked in film. Sometimes they don't even watch movies. It's insane to me to think that people who probably could care less about films are fucking film producers. Simply because it makes them a shit ton of money. They get to live in their mansions up in the Hollywood Hills.
Like if you were at a restaurant and you ordered a steak, you wouldn't follow the waiter back to the kitchen, watch the chef make the steak, and constantly give him notes, even though you don't know how to fucking cook. Like, you wouldn't do that. So why do you do that when you're making a movie?
It's annoying, but that's how it goes in Hollywood. But so yeah, like we were saying, they agreed with a fucking vague concept and title because, as I just said, he had a great 70s career in general. He really, crime was fucking killing in the 70s. So, but before he would complete the screenplay, he did finish the novel. So at this point, he was like, okay, cool, I got it. Let me finish the novel first, and I'll get the screenplay knocked out. So by 1980, the novel was written, set to be published in August of that year. And then they were going to start filming Congo in 1981, so the following year. Things were going smoothly. And then Crichton found a way to fuck it all up.
What happened?
He was extremely adamant, would not budge, that they use a real ape to play Amy. He did not want an actor in a suit.
Jesus, what a hill to die on. They were going to train a real gorilla to just act.
Yes.
Okay, Mike.
This is the thing. The studio teased this for a bit. Needless to say, he had an unsuccessful search for a real ape. And like I said, he was not NOT, all caps, underline, exclamation point, not willing to compromise on an actor putting on a suit. Are you ready for this? Crichton himself approached the studio execs and recommended to them to pull the plug on the film.
What is happening here? He writes this novel, he pitches it, he gets the budget, he's going to make the movie, and I'm assuming, like, auditioned a ton of gorillas for this role.
Nope.
And none of them were good enough.
You're wrong on the auditioning. From what I was reading, literally, they would reach out to like scientists, doing experiments or like zoos, no, anything they could. Everyone told him no.
So he couldn't even get apes in the studio because they were like, we're not going to let you exploit our animals. Yeah. The scientists testing on monkeys were like, how dare you?
Yeah. They were like, you can't train an ape to fucking act.
That's even funnier that like he never even got to that point. But I love I feel like he was reaching out to scientists being like, you got any like really smart gorillas that you might have trained to talk? Like he was hoping they did the work for him. And then to be just like, well, I guess we're not making the movie then because we don't have any hyper intelligent gorilla. What was he going to do about the evil gorillas? Like, was he going to make like spray paint some silverbacks? Like, what was he going to do with that? I mean, these are valid questions. If he was willing to just pull the plug over this.
I don't know why I found that funny. I know someone had to be like, hey, that really big fucking silverback that could totally kill you. We need you to spray paint it so it can be our villain ape.
I wish to God that Crichton had made this version of the movie. This would have been the most incredible 80s film of all time.
Oh my God. If I was a PA, right, an unpaid PA, and you're like, hey, can you go spray paint that fucking silverback? I'd be like, fuck you, I quit. How's that sound? If I get anywhere near the fucking ape, monkey, whatever, I know what they do when they're angry. Guys, they go for your nuts. Don't piss them off.
Dude, on the call sheet, you've got like Tim Curry, Ernie Hudson, Coco, and Dylan Walsh, Laura Linney, and you're the guy who's got your Coco's fucking assistant. You got like a tray of bananas at all times, just in case things get hairy, and they always fucking do, because this is a live animal.
Because it's the 80s, they don't think that maybe the ape shouldn't have cocaine. So they're like, yeah, give the ape cocaine.
Just picturing like a Access Hollywood video. It's like chaos at the Congo set in Africa today as a gorilla high on cocaine trashed the set and ripped Tim Curry's nuts off.
A coked out gorilla.
That is amazing.
That is the hill that Crichton was going to die on. And the audacity, like the gall, I've never heard of this in Hollywood happening, to go up and be like, we can't get the ape, man, we should pull the plug.
I mean, they didn't have real robots on Westworld. He was fine with that. The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park weren't real. Like, why was this the one where he was like, no?
Can you imagine being the studio executive who gave the man with the vague concept and a title, something because he was having success, the okay to do this? And then, like, let's say a couple months later, you're like, hey, man, what's the progress on the film? And then he tells you that. Would you sit there and be like, I I need some more cocaine right now. I don't know what the fuck just came out of your mouth.
I don't know how to approach that. I'd be like, but I gave you $50 million. Like, you're supposed to be 3 weeks into production. Like, what? Because you can't find a real gorilla? Are you fucking kidding me? I'd lose my mind.
Yeah. Which is a great segue for what actually happened. They let him go.
It's just like, fuck off then.
Yeah. They essentially were like, no, we're moving forward with the movie and you can go. That's ridiculous.
That is amazing. They're just like, well, we don't need you anymore. Clearly, this is going to be a problem going forward. My God. So Crichton only got like a story credit?
Wait.
Oh, boy.
He did get a story credit. Yes, but wait. Guess who they offered it to? Very quick to offer it to. This is the 80s. Who was the king of the 80s, my friend?
Oh, boy. Spielberg.
Yep, they quickly offered it to Spielberg.
You know what? I wonder what movie we wouldn't have gotten if he'd take it. Like, do we not get Temple of Doom if he takes Congo?
I don't know, because apparently he considered it. He was legit considering it.
Well, he clearly kept thinking about it because he would do Jurassic Park later, so he clearly liked Crichton.
Yeah, and think about it, it's 80s Spielberg. I don't know exactly when they were kind of I couldn't find an exact year this was all going down. So I don't know if this was when he was producing Poltergeist, working on ET. Oh, it was after ET. That's what they said. It was shortly after ET.
ET looked pretty real. It wasn't, but it looked real. So
clearly still real to this day. Just
animatronics were doable in the early 80s. God damn it. I can't believe Michael Crichton. I didn't know that. That is so funny.
Dude, there's so many times I have to say this real quick when I'm doing the research for these episodes, and I know you kind of got a taste of it with Masters of the Universe because I had, the Rona, whatever you call it. But like there's so many times I find something interesting and I'm like, I can't wait to tell them this. I never text you because I'm like, no. I think I did that once because it was, I forget what episode, but it was so unbelievable the amount of shit I was finding on this film. I was like, wait till the episode, man. We're gonna have a good one.
I think that was Tomb Raider. Or there's been a couple where you're like, buckle up, this is gonna be a big one.
Yeah.
And I just get excited. But yeah, I like that you don't tell me. I get to have these moments of just incredulity on the show, and I love it.
And I get to watch it because it's me like sitting in this spot doing my research. I got like a podcast playing, right? One podcast will probably no longer be played due to some controversy. But I'm doing my research and I'll be just sitting there going out loud with only my pets around me going, I'm sorry, what the fuck does this thing just say? And I'm thinking like, oh, this is gonna be a great talking point when I do this on Wednesday.
I'm just picturing like other movies where like you could make like people would make that kind of crazy demand, like Poltergeist, for instance. Like Spielberg goes up to the studio and is like, we can't find any real ghosts. I don't think we can do this movie. Like, it's so fucking crazy.
You know what's funny? I don't know if this is irony, but there were real skeletons used in Poltergeist.
I know they actually did conjure some real fucking ghosts.
So I don't know if that's like a weird sort of irony that's happening right now.
You can't find any ghosts, Steve. We'll just use these real human remains we found.
Right. And then, but you want to use raw ape? What the fuck? Get out of here.
It's like Jaws. I can't find a real 30-foot great white shark, so this just isn't doable. We can't do this anymore. Like, what?
Oh, I figured that was as soon as I read that, I was like, he really wanted to die on that hill. And they were like, you can go. Let's go out of Spielberg.
I wonder how long that discussion was among the producers, like to cut him. I bet it was less than 2 minutes long. I bet it was like, okay, we got to get rid of this crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, God. Well, Spielberg, even though he did think about it, apparently he did pass on the project. Offer was handed out to two other directors. I'm going to name the first one because I wasn't Filmsburg, but the other one, oh man, the movie I kind of want had he said yes. But before I say his name, the other one was Peter Hyams, how do you say his last name?
I have no idea who this is.
Yep, I wasn't familiar. but he was thrown out there. If you know who he is, I'm sorry. I probably should have done my research, but fuck it. Um, I was more blown away by this other name. Are you ready?
Oh
Are you
yeah.
sitting down right now or pants on?
Yes to one of those.
Disgusting bastard.
Who is it?
John fucking Carpenter.
Oh my God. Oh wow. Carpenter's Congo. Oh, that would have been exciting.
I know.
Ooh.
I stepped away from my research when I saw that name. I was like, I need a moment right now.
See, I always think though, like, if they'd done that film, what film do we lose? And I feel like we lose Big Trouble in Little China.
Look, I don't like going down that route because it ultimately never happened, and I got wonderful Carpenter films out of it. So stop being such a pessimistic son of a bitch.
It's a valid question. You know,
It's valid.
Carpenter takes the Congo gig.
Because I mean, like, because this is 80s Carpenter. I mean, this is Escape from New York, fucking The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China. And I mean, granted, all these have a history of not being popular at the time and getting their due credit years later. You know, fuck you, movie studios.
Well, I wonder if this was one of those situations like Firestarter where they're like, we're going to, like, you do this. And then The Thing came out and it didn't do well. And they're like, no, you can't have this anymore.
Luckily it wasn't, but yeah. And Christine, let's not forget Christine in the 80s. I mean, and nothing like obviously 70s conference just as good. I mean, Halloween and A Song Precinct 13 alone. What else? But I mean, the 80s, you have all that. I think The Fog was right at the 80s, I believe.
That was 80. Yeah. You got They Live. You got Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness. Like, God, 80s Carpenter alone, man. My fucking God.
Yeah. Hell of a run. And you could have thrown Congo in there and that would have been interesting. I wonder how he would have handled the ape situation.
Probably we're getting actual apes attacking people first off.
Would have been hilarious if he like actually did find an ape that was very well trained and could have pulled this off.
Wait. But like you said, this wasn't a case where he didn't, you know, something flopped and the studio was fucked over Carpenter, which is unfortunately, I know we just named like a shit ton of great films in the 80s. Just so you got all, in case anyone's wondering and you want to know more about Carpenter, the underside to all that is that the studios shit on him every step of the goddamn way. A lot of these films, unfortunately, did not do hot at the box office, but they've done great years later, which is why Carpenter is the way he is. Thank God he's not as grumpy anymore. I like having him more enthused Carpenter again. But with that said, he would pass. Actually, he passed on the project. So it was probably a case of he had something else he wanted to do. I'm sure one of the films we named he was probably going to work on instead, and he said no to that, and that actually caused the project to go dead for a while.
Yeah, quite a while.
Yes. 4 years later, Crichton apparently was set to try to get this film made once again, and still with the mindset that I want Connery in the lead role, and I'm sure also a live ape. That was not confirmed nor denied.
I wonder what Connery thought of all this, where he's just like, did he know about Michael Crichton's crazy obsession with working with him again?
I don't know.
And it did come to fruition because they did, like, he did Rising Sun. So they did eventually work together again.
I guess they were probably good friends, and I'm sure he was down. But this is the weird part. There's no reason given for why this just went dead again. He came out of the woodwork 4 years later, said, hey, I want to try this again. I still want Connery in the lead role, and it just disappeared and languished in Fox's vault for like 5 years.
That can happen. Sometimes the producer's just like, not right now, or I don't want to do it. And then it'll just disappear for, sometimes a couple years, sometimes a couple months, sometimes a decade. You never know. It's weird. Movie making is such a fickle business. It's amazing we ever get anything.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain film that came out. That's the reason we even got Congo. Producers Frank Marshall and Kathleen Kennedy, they would buy the rights from Paramount because they were keen to have something akin to the juggernaut known as Jurassic Park, which, as anyone hopefully who has not lived under a rock knows, was a huge hit. I would think the 5 sequels don't clue you in on that.
Yeah, nobody, I don't think at the time, like, anything had made that kind of money before. Like 93, I think it made like $900 something million. Everyone was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. huge hit. So they were kind of keen on getting something. And Fox was like, well, we have this film from also Michael Crichton sitting in our vault.
I always like looking at the movies that like come out after a monster hit because it's always like, well, clearly like same writer, so it's got to be just as good. Or like, a movie that happens to have dinosaurs in it, and they're like, this will be just as good. It's always funny to look at the ripple effect that's huge movies have. Like, just look at Star Wars, the amount of terrible sci-fi movies we got in the 70s because Star Wars was such a huge hit. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah, on the horror on the horror side of things, like the remake craze, the found footage craze, thanks to Paranormal Activity's huge hit. Like Hollywood smells money and it doesn't stop until it's fucking dead.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's why it's funny when people kind of complain. You get the haters online with the superhero films. They're like, God, when will this die? I'm like, when it stops making a lot of money, it's when it will die. That's when. But it's been well over a decade and they're still making billions of dollars at the box office.
To quote Bo Burnham, we'll stop kicking this dead horse when it stops spitting out money.
Yes. With that, are you ready? I don't know why they did this. I don't know if they wanted to get back at Crichton because they got a real ape to play Amy.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Producers made some phone calls and they got a real ape.
In like throughout the whole film or like certain parts?
The ape that plays Amy is an actual ape, which is the ape that's the irony. That's the ape that was the only ape he wanted real, was the one that played Amy.
I could have sworn the ape was an actress because I looked this up. Like when I watched Congo the first time, I was like, that ape sure can act. Yeah, it says right here, Lola No played Amy.
Who's Lola No?
An actress who's not a gorilla.
Apparently, well, they're claiming they apparently got a real ape. I guess for certain scenes they got a real ape.
Yeah, probably, but for other scenes, probably.
Point
not.
Being is
you can't tell though. That's really cool.
Yeah. Point being is they rubbed it in his face away. So like, hey, we're not doing it the whole movie, but we did get a real ape for some scenes that we can pull off with a real ape.
That's so funny. I guess Crichton was probably bitching to Spielberg about there not being real raptors in the Lost World, but I wonder what he had to say.
Yeah, let me just bring dinosaurs back from the fucking dead.
Crichton is not involved. I'm surprised he didn't try to create like a super virus when they made the Andromeda strain. He's calling people like, we need a killer virus and we need it now. So,
or get actual like robots for Westworld. Like
he creates a self-aware machine and then dresses it as a fucking cowboy and is like, all right, now action. God, that was the most like just that a real ape or nothing. Or I walk. Oh, they're like, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Yeah. Like they don't need you. They have your story.
You think like before he left the room, out loud, one went, "Hey, call Spielberg." Like out loud.
They said it as he was leaving. The door was still slightly open. Oh, that's great. I wonder if he brought that up when Jurassic Park came about. He's like, hey, you were offered my job once.
You think Spielberg just went, yeah, go fuck yourself? Because that's like 90s post 80s Spielberg. Like he's probably like, and I'm Spielberg.
Yeah, no one's cracking that ego. He's invincible at that point.
You can't. The dude just keeps writing hits. And to his credit, he's not a problematic human being. So like, no, you can't crack it.
No, he's kind of the perfect director. He knows what he's doing. He cranks out hits. He's not difficult with production. He has his own production company, so usually he's his own producer. So
I he's a great producer, known for collaborating.
Yeah, he's the guy. Like Austin's often called him like the most significant American filmmaker, and I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah. So, and I know I said like regardless of how I feel about his like more focus on doing the Oscar films with his career, I can't deny the shit he was coming out with before that. And then when he did finally kind of step out of it with a film like Ready Player One and showed us that no, and almost was like saying like, no, I still have it in me to do these fun things. I'm like, well, hell yeah, Spielberg, that's what I'm talking about, And he's produced. You got critics may hate it, audiences may hate it, but he did produce a Transformers franchise. He's making so much money off those fucking movies.
Yeah, it's amazing. He knows how to pick his projects.
Yeah. So, with that on this film, everything kind of went smoothly from as far as production. Things went smoothly. And he came out in '95 finally. After being conceived essentially in the '80s. But like we talked about earlier, right? The film would get destroyed by critics. Like I said, I think it's a 22% critic score.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, audience score is not high, but like I said, I think when I looked, it's about 160 million box office, and the film cost, I think, like less than 50. So it for 95, again, always keep in mind with these numbers, ladies and gentlemen, pre-fucking Avengers here. Huge hit.
I'm looking up now what the highest grossing film of 95 was.
It probably wasn't this, but go on.
I'm just curious because back in the day, it wasn't, there hadn't been $1 billion gross yet. It was Batman Forever domestically.
Okay. That makes sense. Honestly.
Globally, it was Toy Story.
That all lines up to me. Yeah. But so big hit, and it has retained a fan base since then. Like I said, and this is again, like I said earlier, I'm not attacking anyone. I get it. Nostalgia. I totally understand. There's films from my childhood that people are like, well, there's this one. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I love it. I've watched it since I was a kid. I understand. I get it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this film has just so many people I like. You've got Tim Curry, Ernie Hudson, Bruce Campbell, Joe Don Baker, Laura Linney. Like, I like all of these people. Delroy Lindo has a brief scene. Joe Pantoliano, you see him for a little bit. Like, I love almost everybody in this cast. So the whole time I'm just like, it's that guy. Oh, I like that guy.
Yeah.
And then, it's Killer Monkeys. And that's always been a thing for me.
I know. And for me, it is one, the cast. And also just the fact that, like, again, it's not the worst thing I've watched. It's not the best. It's if you would put it on again, I wouldn't bitch. I'd be like, okay, I'll come watch Congo. Like it's a decently good, turn off your brain type of film to watch. Like it's not an offense to society. I've seen way worse than fucking Congo.
It's something I can see Shout Factory doing a collector's edition of that I might pick up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's all I have on Congo's production. Unless you got anything else, it's time to give out some awards.
I just can't stop thinking about Michael Crichton and his terrible negotiation skills.
How you guys always talk about when you show someone a movie that you love, and you watch them as opposed to the movie. It's kind of like that for me when I do this, because I always, obviously, like I was just talking about earlier, I know what's coming up because I write the script for these shows, minus again Masters of the Universe, only when I was in the dark on. But so for me, it's a matter of like, oh, let me see which one really fucking makes Connor go, what the fuck.
It is just it's hilarious because, like, the way we conceived of the show was that, like, no bad movie just falls out of the sky. Everything has to have a reason for existing. So, like, what led to these terrible movies? And sometimes it's something as crazy as Michael Crichton wanting an actually, like, trained actor gorilla to be in the movie, or he walks.
And they just said, yeah, go walk.
Wonder if he was upset, or he was like still trying to maintain some dignity and just like, well, fine. Or if he was like, what? I don't know.
He just starts begging after that. He's like, look, I got ideals for 2 and 3. Just I gotta have the tape.
Oh God. Beautiful.
All right. Well, on that note, awards. First up, Zack Snyder, the worst scene, which I forgot. We'll talk offline about a certain thing I saw over a couple days ago in regard to a certain shitty fandom.
Yeah. Okay.
With Snyder's universe.
I don't know what you're talking about, actually. So I'm
excited. Hear? Oh, well, you know what? Let's just, before we do this, let's talk about it real quick. I thought you knew what I was talking about. Okay. It was revealed that a good chunk of the whole Restore the Snyderverse, Restore the Snyder Cut, was fake accounts So fuck you, Snyder fans. How's that sound?
I fucking knew it. You asshole.
Minus my buddy EJ. You're my friend.
God, that whole saga has just been a clusterfuck since day one. And hopefully that's the nail in the coffin, but I fucking doubt it.
I doubt it. It just was like, oh, so you guys did fake accounts. Again, look, you like what you like. I'm personally not on board. I wasn't on board with what Snyder was doing personally, but let it go. To quote the Road Warrior, not Frozen, Road Warrior, let it go and walk away.
Stop digging up the corpse of this franchise and just let it rest. For God's sake.
As far as I'm concerned, we've gotten better DC films since it's been done anyway. So
substantially better. The Suicide Squad and the Batman were both fantastic films.
Yes. Aquaman was pretty good. I liked Shazam. I liked Joker. I like Birds of Prey. Like, it's amazing. All the ones that haven't.
Everything that he had no input in was great.
Minus one.
That's an accident.
Minus Wonder Woman 1984. That movie can go fuck itself. Yeah. With that, now back on track. That was what. Yeah, I thought you knew about that. My bad. But yeah, Scandal. Worst scene. What do you got?
This was tough because admittedly, like, there's not really any scenes that pop out as like, oh, that was bad. But I had to go with something, and for me, it is the brief cameo from Delroy Lindo as this warlord who needs a bribe. Because it's just so out of place and goes nowhere. The whole African politics subplot goes nowhere.
Yeah,
and I always didn't like that. And you know, the whole like "stop eating my sesame cake" has become an iconic bad movie line, which I found funny.
Oh, and yeah, I forgot about that. I was like, why?
His whole thing about how, like, talking about Tim Curry as this guy is a bag of shit and he's a horrible person. You just get the vibe that like he's going to betray them or something, but then that never happens either. He's actually pretty agreeable, decent dude through the whole movie. He really did he did help them. He funded them. He just needed to find this lost city. Like, he's not a bad guy. I don't know why they paint him as this bad guy.
The best part is when he got there, he wasn't like, no, we need to make it through. He's like, no, we can leave. There's things trying to kill us. We can go. Yeah. He was on the same page. He was not like, no, usually the bad guy like, we have to keep going. I'll kill anyone who gets my way. It's like, oh shit, there's fucking apes attacking us and killing us. We need to get the fuck out, guys.
Yeah. It's weird how that whole scene sets up so much that never happens. So I didn't care for that. I was like, either take it out or do something with it. But why is it here?
That's a good one. And I actually forgot about that scene because since they didn't do anything with it, as the movie went on, I'm like, I guess we're not doing anything with it.
On my first watch, like, I was just so enamored by like, ooh, killer apes. I didn't notice. But on the second watch, I was like, I remembered the movie and I'm like, wait a minute, that never goes anywhere. Like, what's the point? So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I had the same issue, and this is another case where like nothing's really just leaving on us. Oh my God, this is bad. But I did put one little scene. It had to do with the fact that there's like almost no reaction from anyone or a chance for the audience to let this kind of sink in. But it's when they have to jump out of the plane because it's getting like shot with the rocket launcher. And it's when they all get down to the ground and the camera shows the plane flying and it gets blown up. And that's what I put because none of the characters really react to this. There's no music, no nothing to make the audience go, oh shit, they're stuck. Like, it literally happens and the film just moves on.
I nearly had from that scene where Laura Linney kicks open the plane door and shoots a rocket out of the sky with a flare. I had this moment of like, what the fuck was that? And then I remembered, oh wait, they're heat seekers. But I had this moment of like, where did fucking Rambina come from all of a sudden? But no, it's like, oh, that makes sense then. But yeah, that is a good point. Like, everyone's just like, all right, let's keep walking. Like, they didn't just jump out of a fucking plane that just blew up.
Right. That as far as I know, is their only way in and out. Like,
yeah, they're going through quite a lot just to drop off a gorilla.
Yeah, it was like, all right. So yeah, it was actually the only scene I wrote down because I was like, no one's reacting to this. Like, no one. You're playing. Yeah, there's people in that plane.
I'm just picturing you being there and being like, what the fuck was that? And like being really weirded out. Like, why is nobody else? Like, What's wrong with you people?
They're just like, and they're ignoring me. Hey, we gotta keep going. What the fuck you mean keep going? Our plane got blown up.
That is so odd. They're just like, all right, move out. Like, no.
Yeah, that's like
even the monkey doesn't react.
Yeah, that's like if you're watching like a war movie and they're just getting shot out and no one's reacting to the battle scene. Just no one.
You see that quite a lot in war movies, actually. They're just like having a full conversation while there's bullets everywhere.
Yeah, but they know how to make it intense. But also there's in war movies, you're debating a group of people that are trained for those kinds of situations. So,
that's true. Not a fucking primatologist and a telecommunications person who did not sign up for this shit. And they're still just like hardened, like battle hardened for no apparent reason.
Right. And even then, I'd argue in war films, they do react. Yeah, they'll have conversations, but it's usually as they're loading a gun. And it always kind of goes back to, all right, let's go kill those motherfuckers, or hoorah, America. It's usually followed by like, we're about to go fuck them up anyway. They're doing something while they're talking.
True.
So
good choice.
But, yes. With that, let's move on to the next one. Again, our hard one, because that looks actually not bad for a film that's on a vault for so long.
True.
The Ed Wood versus Line.
This, I picked one line here because I just couldn't believe that this needed to be said. It was like so obvious that like this didn't need to be here. Kill your darling. Sometimes show not tell is the best policy with most films. And it was right after we meet the gray gorillas for the first time, and they fuck up some people, and they go to camp and they got the perimeter line, and the gorillas are testing the perimeter. And Dylan Walsh, the primatologist, just takes the opportunity to say, gorillas are very smart, but they're not aggressive. These things are really aggressive. Like, no shit. Did you not just watch them beat a man to death right over there? They're constantly attacking the fence. Yeah, we know they're aggressive. You don't need to tell us that.
I would love to see, since you imagine me to seeing you in that scene, and he says that, and you look at him like, no shit, Sherlock.
I would just be like, I'd probably hurl his ass over the fence and make a run for it while they're beating him to death. Because Jesus Christ, way to contribute nothing to the situation.
I love the ideal of like everyone's like, just say in a theoretical situation, like they're watching this ape murder this guy, and the whole time someone's just like, he doesn't mean it. They're just having a bad day. It's not that serious.
Well, I'm trying to like attribute this to different situations. We just did Night of the Living Dead on the Filmgazm podcast. You imagine if somebody in that movie just went like, wow, these things are really mean. It's like, yeah, we've been watching them eat people. We know.
Yeah, it's always funny, and it happens every so often when there's that like movies will put in a line dialogue where they're clearly pointing something out where I'm like, what did you think I fell asleep? Like,
I hate when a movie treats me like an idiot. It's like, I've been watching. I see the gorillas being aggressive. You don't need to tell me that they're aggressive.
There's a snake out there and it's killing people. That's not good. Oh, yeah. I thought it was good. I thought we were doing population control in the fucking movie.
Oh, man.
It's like, you did Friday 13th recently, right? Jason Voorhees is slashing people. Oh, no, that's bad, guys. I thought it was good.
You drowned my son, and drowning kids is wrong. That's bad. You did a bad thing there. Oh my God. It's so unnecessary and stupid, and it you're treating your audience like they're a bunch of dipshits who aren't watching the movie. Like, yeah. Have a little bit more respect for your audience. Just a drop.
Just a bit. That's a good one. I put one, and I put this because I didn't know the movie needed a fucking one-liner, because it's not a fucking 80s action film. But it's when towards the end, Laura Linney is getting ready to fight back these apes. She becomes a badass for a moment. She goes, let me get in close for this. Put them on the endangered species list.
I remember that. Oh God.
I'm like, okay, one, this movie did not require that whatsoever. And two, I mean, is that line you want to put in your movie where we do as a group of people make a lot of species get on the endangered species list? Is that what you want to say?
Well, I mean, also, she's zapping these fucking gorillas with a diamond laser. It's like, what is happening right now? You're just it's so weird. And yeah, that was like out of nowhere. It's like all of a sudden, she's again Rambina just being like, let's do this. It's like, no, she wasn't this character the whole movie, and now all of a sudden she's lasering gorillas to death.
It's like they had on set for no reason whatsoever. Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Van Damme, like all these action stars were just Bronson for whatever reason. He's filming a Death Wish film in the area. They're all on set that day just to visit, and she's like, "Oh my god, I got to say something like good to impress them."
Danny Glover pops in. He's like, "It's just been revoked." She's like, "Close, but that doesn't really apply here, Danny." But I like where you're at.
Schwarzenegger, get to the chopper.
Stallone is like, I don't know, endangered species list. I don't know. It's like, I like it.
Wait, I'm sorry, Stallone. Can you say that again? I didn't quite catch that.
Endangered species list. God, oh, it does sound just ridiculous, and it is weird that happens. Like, you should not be cracking jokes right now. Like, they just ripped Tim Curry apart. Like, have some respect.
And okay, look, this is my thing. I don't mind cheesy like one-liners. I know I'm pretty sure people are gonna be like, well, there's horror movies. I get it. I know there's some horror films I love to say something stupid. I know it's the 2009 fucking Friday 13th. They say the most generic one, Jason, go to hell, and then push him into the thing, and she's like, say hi to your mommy for me, or some dumb shit like that. I'm like, oh god.
Was Mark Wahlberg consulting on that one? Yeah, Jason, say hi to your mother for me, all right? I'd watch the shit out of that movie.
I would watch that.
Marky Mark versus Jason. Sign me up. I'll crowdfund that movie.
Oh god. But yes, I mean, other genres say it. Obviously the 80s action era is the most prolific with it. But this is the thing. Those films are so over the top cheesy, it fits. Like, it just makes sense.
That's the thing. It's gotta belong.
Yeah, like those films thrived off being as over the top as they could possibly be. So that I'm with that. This film doesn't do that because, and again, I'll get into it in a minute. I'm not going to say it now, but this film takes itself very serious. Has a very much like, we got to go find this lost city and get shit done. And you're right. This character doesn't ever have any moment before this of doing something like this. And then it just happens. And she says line, I'm like, when did we become this movie?
Yeah. Very strange.
All right. Now for the next one, which is interesting because I have two names slowly because I'm picking whoever you don't pick. So you have first right here, buddy. The Steven Seagal worst performance.
I love Ernie Hudson. I love Tim Curry. But
don't feel any pressure. Pick whoever you want, and I'm just going to take the other one.
Accents are not their forte. And I don't know. I mean, first off, why not just make Tim Curry's character British? He's British. It would work out. We don't need him to be from Romania. It adds nothing to the story. And I don't know why Ernie Hudson's British. He could be American. It wouldn't fucking matter. So there's no reason for it. So I went with Ernie Hudson.
Okay. Then yes, I will go with Tim Curry. We'll just talk about both of it.
What the fuck happened here? Like, why did they do this?
In Tim Curry's case, did they watch Rocky Horror Picture Show or something? They were like, we can make him do an accent. Even then, he uses his regular accent in fucking Rocky Horror.
Yeah, he pretty much always does. Like Clue, Home Alone 2, Muppet Treasure Island. Like, he's always Tim Curry. So I don't know what's going on here as what Herkimer Homolka, formerly of Romania. And he's just doing a half-assed Russian accent sometimes.
Yeah, there's so many times where both their voices slip.
Yeah,
all of the time.
And Ernie Hudson's introduces this like British expat, like Merc for Hire, who's British sometimes,
And
but most of the time
like,
just not trying that hard.
yeah, it's a really weird accent too. It's like the most subdued British, and like to me, did you notice he was like drawing out some of his words with it?
Yeah, apparently just to be British, you just draw a little more words and like a little stronger like that. Like that's a shitty British accent, and I tried harder than he did.
It's it's like it's one thing if the film had some kind of logical reason, but like you said, you watch film and you're like, you could have literally just made them be who they are, and this film would have nothing would have changed.
Their accents had no bearing on this movie whatsoever. It's really kind of amazing. Like it's so unnecessary and incredibly distracting.
It is. I texted you immediately. I was like, what is going on with these two's accents in this fucking movie?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. It's an interesting decision, and I want to know whose it was. I feel like this is another one of Crichton's hills where he's like, the guy is Romanian, or I walk again. It's like, we fired you 10 years ago, Mike. You don't need to be here.
I do him just not letting it go.
He's constantly looking at the animatronic or like the real Amy and like the suit Amy, and like I can tell who's the real gorilla. If I can tell, they can tell. Jesus Christ.
God.
But yeah, Ernie, this is a shared Steven Seagal award between Tim Curry and Ernie Hudson. They both bombed this one.
Yeah, I never. This is the first time in our short run on this show I was like, I'm having a legit issue because both of your accents are terrible.
Yeah, it is nice when I don't have to think about it that much. Where I'm like, oh, he's the guy.
Yeah. Usually it's me going like, oh yep, that was an easy pick. Or like, okay, I'm having a hard time, but what? And that like with the pacifier, right? It was like no one's really doing bad. Then that's when I came up with the lady who played the Makes. I'm like, well, I'll just pick her because why is she even from a different country? Why did Disney do that just to make fucking stereotypical jokes?
Yeah,
and that's how I've got that one. But this one was like, I was still like, I wrote both down because I do it on paper first as I'm watching, then I translate everything to the script. I wrote both down. I thought, okay, I'll just pick one. I'm writing it, and as I'm typing it out, I'm like, I can't pick. Like,
yeah, I simply cannot decide.
It's like this is just bad. Well, on that note, I feel like this one should be interesting because we'll be able to diverge hopefully. But the Michael Bay, worst filmmaking decision.
I think for me, this movie has serious potential to be a fucking terrifying film. And I think one big thing holding it back is a PG-13 rating. I think if this film had been rated R, had refocused a bit, this could have been one of the most memorable sci-fi horror adventures of the 90s. But unfortunately, I think it's held back. So that's mine.
Okay, interesting. I will divulge a little bit on Silver Lining. So there's an interesting angle I went with on my Silver Lining with that. But I am with you. It would have been nice having gone further and just focus that script up a bit more instead of, hey, Jurassic Park's famous. We need something.
It is weird. Like, and even though, like, it's like if Jurassic Park had been 90% about like the politics of like creating the park, and then we see dinosaurs in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like you gave me an inferior version, whereas Spielberg knew what we wanted. We wanted dinosaurs.
Exactly. You know what everybody loved about Jurassic Park? West African politics. Are you sure? You sure about that? Frank Marshall? Mike, you sure about that?
You think the producers like, okay, you think they went through like, all right, so he's finally done about this Live 8, mainly because we got one. But now apparently he really wants to focus on West African politics. And the executive producer going, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Michael Crichton, and I'm just picturing every sentence he ends every sentence with, or I walk. Like every decision, every conversation he has, if he doesn't get his way, he's like, I'll walk. He doesn't even work there anymore.
If I was an executive producer, every time he came up to me with that for this movie, every time I just same sentence would be, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" That would be my response every time.
You've had security throw him out like 6 times. He always finds his way back. You just can't get rid of this guy. He's always wearing some kind of like King Kong t-shirt or something.
And that's when you see a news article going, Michael Crichton dead of an overdose. Interesting.
Oh, man.
It's Hollywood. Just saying. Things happen. Mine. And I've been kind of alluding to it, and that is this film to me has a serious fucking pacing problem. Because it takes a long time to get to the point of apes attacking, which is what I have been told this film is for years. So I went in thinking, fuck yeah, give me some attacking apes.
Yeah.
I checked. I paused the fucking movie because I was like, where are the goddamn apes? And I paused over an hour in and was like, oh, there's still no apes. There's like 30 minutes left to this film. When are they coming?
Yeah, that's a real problem this film has. It starts out great with the, ape attack on Bruce Campbell and his buddy. And you just see like a shape on the camera and then it goes away and you're like, oh shit, I'm intrigued. And then we don't see them again until the end of the movie. And I mean, it's the end of the movie. It's cool when they're like intelligent, psycho, savage apes. But then, the volcano fucks them all up. And it's like, oh, well, you hardly knew ye. I guess the movie's over.
Hardly knew ye. Yeah, no, you finally get it and it takes it away from you. Even then, it did and this is, I don't like when movies do this. The one that apparently, if the online horror community loves, and I don't understand because I fucking hated the movie, but I think The Cursed from this year.
Oh, God.
I don't understand why I'm seeing love on it from online. They're like, it's one of the best horror films, and it's like, I'm like, again, you guys are going to shit so quickly on this Monsters trailer, but this piece of shit you love, okay, whatever.
That was one of the few times where I actually fell asleep at the movie theater.
Yeah,
I was the only one in the theater, and I was just like, I kept zoning out, and like going back in and zoning out. It was a fucking pain in the ass to keep myself awake.
Yeah, another film with serious pacing issues. But the reason I say that is because the Congo did the same goddamn thing, and that is when the fucking attack happens. The camera it's like all of a sudden I got a found footage movie in a non-found footage movie, and the camera just goes, "Oh my god, I can't keep it still. I'm so startled. Oh god," and I'm like, I've waited this long for a fucking ape to show up that isn't Amy. And I get it. And you shake the camera like crazy during the fucking attack scene and play this rhythm. Like, fuck you. Just just fuck you. Okay. Just fuck you.
Well, it just made me feel they weren't confident in their design because they wouldn't show us the design of the ape. We got like, some rocky footage of it until like one scene. There's like a little close up of the monkey. And even then you're like, yeah, you could have done better.
Yeah. And this thing, you're probably thinking, well, found footage shakes can't. I go in knowing the found footage film is going to have a shaky camera because we suck at filming shit.
It's true.
We do. Anyone that tries to be like, well, I would hold it still. Try to watch any fucking reported UFO, Bigfoot, cryptid, ghost, any fucking goddamn video like that. And these are people, I'm so goddamn scared. Oh my God.
Yeah. Suddenly everyone has a fucking bout with Parkinson's and they can't hold the goddamn camera straight.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. So I go in knowing that that's going to be found footage, which means my mind's prepared. I can handle it. And then anything else that comes bad in that type of film, we'll see. But in this case, this is a traditionally filmed film. They had steady cameras. They had cameras on fucking rakes. And all of a sudden, found footage. Can't see the goddamn ape attacking. Yeah,
understandable. Yeah, this film could have erased a lot of their setup and just gone from, Bruce Campbell getting attacked to in the jungle looking for the lost city.
Yeah, I would have taken the quick setup of like the airport sequence of like, okay, let's use that as a sub to get all the characters that we need for this into it. Yeah. Show how they got this group together. That's fine. I understand that. How they got there, let's go boom, boom, boom. But get them there. And then fucking go for it. Don't do whatever the fuck this movie did.
We didn't need the political shit because, again, it amounts to nothing. Like, when they get there, they don't have a bout with some, gorillas, or, there's no, like rebel gorillas.
You cheeky son of a bitch.
There's, they get out of there fine. The balloon, they still have heat seekers, and it's a lot harder to avoid heat seekers when you're in a fucking hot air balloon. So none of them are making it out of this. But it didn't add anything to it. All it did was just keep the pacing down.
Yeah, I think literally when the plane blows up, that's it to that storyline. Like, and the politics are done. The plane is gone. I'm like, what?
Yep, that's it. What a wash.
It blew up in the sky. On that note, I know it's just kind of I kind of shit on the structure and pacing of this film, but now for the silver lining, the positive we took from this. So I'm curious, what is yours?
Amy the gorilla. I fucking love Amy the gorilla. This smart, compassionate, can kind of talk gorilla who loves martinis and just is super chill. I love the character. I love hearing it talk, Amy, mother. I love all that shit. I thought that was great. And then in the end, when she saves Dylan Walsh, I don't remember his character's name. I'm just going to call him Dylan Walsh. When Amy saves him from the evil gorillas and it's like back the fuck up on these psycho evil gorillas to save him, is like, my favorite part. It's like, yes, I love this. I love Amy. So yeah.
Amy is great. To Crichton's credit, she is a great character. Probably the best character. Against
Crichton, I can't tell what's a real ape and what's an actor. So did it matter? No,
not at all. So yeah, no, Amy's a great character, and it's funny. I remember her the most because Dylan, like I said, I can't remember Russian's character's name because it's like he's the main character, but not the main character. It's the weirdest thing. Like, this film does not commit to a main character in its cast.
Oh no, everybody's got their own agenda, and none of them match up in the slightest. It's just by sheer happenstance, Laura Linney stumbles onto the diamond laser.
Yeah, it's literally like it's insane. When I was watching, I'm like, this film's not really committing to a main character. And let me tell you, man, like, if it wasn't for the fact that I have to like come out with awards and stuff for this, these are the type of films where I do, because I'm watching at home, I'll pull my phone and just be like,
yeah,
and look up occasionally and be like, oh, it's still going. Okay.
I understand. Yeah, it sucks when we get one of those. But like, I do love that there's just, a telecommunications mission. There's a save the gorilla mission. There's a fucking treasure hunt in the middle of this movie. Like, it's just everything is happening at the same time, and nobody gives a shit if it meshes or not.
Yeah, it's just like, well, and that's why I say, like, in a weird way, if you threw this on, I'm not going to complain, because I do appreciate the sheer audacity of like all the shit they put on this film. Just know if it meshes well.
Yeah, that was the 90s. Like, the 90s, in the 80s, people were experimenting with how little of a shit they could give. And then in the 90s, they just went ham with it. And I love that. There's certain movies that would not exist without people not caring as little as possible.
Yeah. 90s was an interesting decade of film in general. Obviously outside the whole, and now kind of, I'm tired of hearing it. 90s was, horror's dead. Like, okay, we get it. There was actually quite a bit of good 90s films. I won't just look, I know there's going to be young burgeoning horror fans out there, right? And they're going to hear it just like I did. It happens, right? It's part of learning about film. I implore you to not pay attention to the horror died in the 90s, to any young horror fans we have listening, and actually look at what came out in the 90s. And there's a lot of solid stuff in the 90s.
Well, you know what? Even if people do think that horror died in the 90s, you know what happens in horror movies? Things come back from the dead. So fuck you.
Also, horror never truly dies. I'm just saying. And
if it does, it's coming back in the sequel. So it's all going to be fine.
Sequel or remake, take your choice. For me, my silver lining, this is what I said. Interesting. You mentioned the, making it rated R. And I do agree. I think they should have gone for it. With that said, I was generally impressed with the gore that they did get away with for a PG-13 film. I double checked when I had to pause it to see like, sorry, it's fucking coming up anytime soon. Because I have, I know this is on Showtime, but I have that tied with my Hulu account, so that's how I saw it was essentially on Hulu. And it tells you the rating being positive. I'm like, no, it's PG-13. I'm like, they're getting away with some actually pretty good stuff. Like you see a fucking decapitated head on camera. Like I'm like, okay.
Yeah, a lot of bloody corpses, a lot of people getting beaten to death. I was really pissed that they wasted their one F-bomb on Joe Pantoliano just casually going, fuck if I know, at the airport. Like, what a waste. You only get one and that's what you're going to use it.
Yeah, they should have just given it to the fucking corny ass one-liner.
Yeah.
Put them on the fucking endangered species. That does actually kind of sound better.
I would have had Amy say it. Like, just, sign language. Oh, fuck. When the gorillas show up. That would have saved this entire movie.
What if Amy, as awesome as she is, talked like Koba and fucking Dawn of the Planet of the Apes?
Yeah. I bet that's how all gorillas sound, not to be racist, but I'm pretty sure that all gorillas sound.
So glad we're talking about Congo because out of context, Jesus.
If they could talk, that's how they'd sound.
Ape, go away.
That was cool. I just watched all three of those recently, just on a whim. Rise, Dawn, and War, all three fucking perfect movies. They're such great movies.
Do you know how pissed I was when War came out? It seemed like apparently the war just stopped caring out of nowhere.
That was like the best one. I was so disappointed. I was there opening night. Like, this is great. I think I saw it twice.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was on deployment, so I did not. But I remember just when I was very excited and no one was talking about it. And it was weird. I'm like, didn't everyone like Dawn? I thought we all loved Dawn. So why do we not care about War all of a sudden? What the fuck's going on here?
Yeah. Weird, but
yeah,
definitely good. Like, if you haven't seen him in a while, watch him again because it's just, you can't stop.
Remember when my parents were living in Austin and I was briefly living in them, that Alamo Draft House over in Lakeline?
Yeah.
I remember. So we thought they were decorated for like Planet of the Apes, so apparently they just always have Planet of the Apes there.
I know. I think we went there for Dawn, right?
Yeah, we went there for Dawn.
We were like, holy shit, they went all out for this movie. And then we kept going back month after month. All that shit was still there. We were just like, no, that's just the lobby.
It's what the lobby decided. But remember that one worker when we were leaving? He talked exactly like the apes as we were leaving.
You remember that? I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. He just leans out, have a good day, or something like that, whatever the fuck he said.
God, I can tell you, working at Draft House, I've never had that level of commitment to any movie that came out. I would like wear a t-shirt with the movie, but I would never start acting like it because I didn't get paid that much.
I don't blame you. But yeah. With that, great films. Those are, God, I need to actually pick up War. I own the first set. I've just not picked up War yet. But yeah, so with this, I'm definitely like I said, I'm with you in that they should have just gone with R rating because clearly Gore kind of said they were probably wanting to do that, but they didn't. But with that said, I'm always for me, me, I like my gory in your face horror films quite a bit. So I'm always happy to see like them push a PG-13 rating. So like, let's see what we can get away with.
True, but if I'm going to watch savage, evil gorillas rip people apart, I want to see some blood.
No, I want to see it.
Yeah. I just like why, I don't know, probably because, Jurassic Park was PG-13 and they had to capitalize or like, got to get the kids. Still got to freak the kids out. Like
I said, look, if you notice when we did our top 5 creatures, most of mine are rated R, like anacondas, crawl, alligator, and all that. You know what they all have in common? They show it. Alligator fucking had a kid die, for Christ's sakes. We talked about it. If you want to know how I felt about that and how that scene scarred me to this day, check out our Filmgazm on alligator. But yeah, they don't hold back on showing a kid get fucking killed.
Nah. Yeah, imagine what Congo could be with competent filmmakers and a vicious R rating. This movie would probably scare the shit out of me, honestly.
Honestly, I kind of want to see what it would have been if Michael Crichton got in his fucking live ape.
I would be down for a remake of Congo. I'd like to see what we could do with this now.
Yeah, well, especially with the technology they use for the Planet of the Apes films.
Congo with Caesar.
Oh my god!
Instead of Amy, like literally the character Caesar in here instead of Amy.
Is Mike Crichton still alive?
No, he passed about 10, 15 years ago.
Okay. Well, if he was still alive, can you imagine if they were like, "Hey, we're going to reboot this, but we're not getting real ape," and he just throws a fucking like tantrum?
I would love if, like, in his will, he said, like, if there is a remake of Congo ever, it's a real ape or I walk.
Oh God. I think that's a good way to segue, unless we have anything else. Segue to I'm sure, I feel like your favorite part of the show, what's in the box.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
Not a lot of middle ground with this one. Pretty reviled. 2.4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, and all of the basically most of the Letterboxd reviews are just how insanely ridiculous some of this stuff is. So I've got 5 good ones here, and I hope I can make you laugh. This first one is from Jake Uriz. Before 9/11, you could hang out with a gorilla on the tarmac and then drink martinis once you were boarded. 1.5 star.
I forget how many things apparently you could just get away with pre 9/11.
I thought it was funny how casually they just give the ape a martini. She's like, I want green drink. Like, how long have you been giving this ape martinis?
Well, I love how like the attendant had a moment like, no, I can't do that. And then like Dylan Walsh was like, oh no, it's fine.
Well, when you put it like that.
I'd be like, wait, what? Sorry, sir. You said it was fine? What?
It's not for me. It's for the gorilla. Well, then fuck no. If I was a flight attendant, the last thing I'm doing is making drinks for apes.
Yeah. If anything, I'm going to drink it myself. Be like, he's not getting this.
I'd quit on the spot. I'd be like, I don't get paid enough for this. This is bullshit. Oh, all right. Next one. This was good. This is from Ronnie Gardaki. Jurassic Park. You will believe these creatures who've not been seen in 65 million years are real. Congo. You will not for a goddamn second think these are real gorillas. 2.5 stars.
Mr. Not crying didn't get his way.
Nope. I'm just picturing him be like, all right, so if we start now, we can breed a vicious race of super intelligent gray gorillas in time for filming. I know we can pull this off. They're like, are you fucking crazy? Oh, gotta love his commitment to realism.
Or I walk.
Or I walk. God damn it. Oh, number 3. This is from Bramble Scramble. My mother won a Pepsi raffle in 95, and the grand prize was a life-size Amy the gorilla. That shit may have actually been my best friend. This movie is the greatest, by the way. Those evil gorillas getting fucked by lava is unbelievable. One of the best big budget misfires ever. 4 stars. I love that they had a Pepsi contest to win a fucking Amy gorilla.
What if they fucked up and gave the winner the real gorilla?
That's the prize. You win the gorilla from this movie, and it can't talk worth shit, and you're just stuck with this goddamn gorilla.
Yeah. I love people's like commitment to like liking bad films like that. Like when they give these high scores and like, God, it's terrible, but fuck it, I love it.
I mean, if I'd won, the Pepsi challenge and ended up with a life-size gorilla, I would love explaining that to company when people come over and it's like, oh, this is my movie collection. This is the living room. This is my life-size Amy the gorilla from Congo. You may have seen it.
Again, if they give you the real gorilla, you just always have Amy in that corner when company comes over.
I tell it I wait for people to get close, and then I do like the sign, and it goes like, oh, or something like that. It scares the absolute fuck out of whoever I've got over.
It's like those videos of people have seen like apes at the zoo, like the gorillas near the glass, and it just out of nowhere slaps the shit out of the glass. Like they know what they're doing.
I love watching the gorilla laugh afterwards. Like they always chuckle to themselves, like, I got you, asshole.
I think it's fine that when he's who you go to that has, all of them have monkeys. And as you guys can probably, our audience can probably tell, if they don't know, monkeys and apes are fucking smart as shit. I love how for some reason they always have to be like, so watch out where you walk here because they like to throw their poo. And I'm like, then why is it open? Why did you make an area to walk where they can fucking fling their shit at me and it can possibly hit me? That doesn't sound like a fun day at the zoo to me.
God, can you imagine? This isn't monkey related, but I did see something funny happen at the zoo once. I was at the zoo in I think it's Virginia Beach actually, with my dad and my aunt Astrid, and Astrid was filming the tiger enclosure, and the tiger made a gesture or something that moved a little, and the guy in front of her was like, ah, and she laughed. She's like, ah, you got scared. The tiger pounced at the glass. My aunt went fucking flying. She was like, holy shit, and fell over. Like all of that happened within 2 seconds. It was beautiful. It was karma, like instant karma. It was great.
Oh, I need to remember this zoo for a certain visit coming up. Not for you, another visit, but
yeah, I don't want to go to the zoo.
Yeah, no, it's another one involving.
It's family. Too fucking hot to go to the zoo.
It's one involving family, and it shouldn't be as hot when they come here. But yeah, no, actually, that gorilla thing. I think I got that. Who I got that from? You joked about that, Kevin Hart. I remember him doing a stand-up. We talked about taking his kids to the zoo. And the fucking gorilla slapped on the glass and he like bolted and almost forgot his kid. He was so fucking scared.
Nice fight or flight there, Kevin. That's great.
Yeah.
That's funny.
He choked away. He's like, yeah, fuck those kids. I'm getting out of there.
Oh, man. Okay. I got 2 more for you. This one's from Henry Smith. I don't know what I was expecting from Congo, but it certainly wasn't Laura Linney cutting evil gorillas to flaming shreds with a fucking laser gun. 3.5 stars. Yeah, I don't think anybody expected that one.
Honestly, not what I thought was going to happen. I was like, actually, I had a moment. I was like, did I fucking mind blank on where she got that gun?
Well, I thought it was funny. Earlier they mentioned like, oh, so you were in the CIA? And she's like, maybe. Like, is that all the explanation for like, oh, that's how she knows how to use an experimental laser diamond gun?
Which, by the way, anyone who's ex-CIA, you can tell them you're ex-CIA. It's only secret when you're in the CIA. That's like if someone's like, when I get out of the Navy, they're like, so were you were Navy? And I'm just like, maybe.
You should wear a shirt that says like, U.S. Navy, and then always answer, it's classified.
Actually, that kind of works because that's all my jobs that I can give you being like an asset. I can give you an overall description of my job. That's fine. I can do that all day. I can't give you details. So I can technically just be like classified. But wait, what kind of missions do you do as an asset classified?
You should be like, let's just say Fidel Castro is very sorry. some vague Cold War shit just to throw people off.
Right? Or just start being like, how Operation how ISIS was declared dead? Yeah. And just leave it at that.
Oh man. All right. And this last one, I can relate. This is from RJ. No score given. He just reviewed this with this one sentence. When I was a kid, this movie was so scary, I shit my fucking pants.
God.
Something about abnormal killer apes fucking scares people. I get it.
You're the only one that got scared out of evolution. Let's just calm it down.
I doubt it. And I know that this guy, RJ, would get it.
No.
That's what's in the box.
It's fine. I love making the joke for some. I don't know why it's so funny to me. The joke that if I ever got so scared, I would shit myself because I probably would. That would be my response. Like, oh God. And oh God, I need to change now. I was scared. I was startled. But I've never watched a film that scared me enough that I've been like, oh man, I just shit myself.
I've never I didn't literally, obviously. I was 6 years old. I fucking might have. I don't know. I don't remember that part. But it is all about, how I think depends on when you see the movie. I think you just, I don't know.
I will say no. I will say the only. I know. I'm not saying like I'm sure it's possible, and I'm sorry for this man to have shit himself. That sounds terrible. But if it's ever like as a grown adult, I'll say, if I've ever like had a moment where I've been like, oh, I might need to throw this underwear away, it's because I've had something bad. It's usually after having something that didn't agree with my stomach. I took a chance and shouldn't have taken that chance.
Well, I was talking more about getting scared by a movie, not shitting my pants. But okay.
Yeah. I'm talking about yes. I'm saying I haven't shit myself over watching a movie. It has not scared me enough to do that.
Yeah, it's never happened to me either. But I'm assuming if I end up in a really terrifying situation, like there's a real murderer in my house, anything could happen.
Anything could happen. That's why I said, I'm saying I've only had it for like, man, I've ate something bad.
Great. This is an interesting road to have traveled down.
Yes. I mean, ultimately, honestly, unless you die naked, we're all going to shit ourselves one day.
Yeah, I saw that South Park too.
See, I told you guys.
Well, Congo, not well received by pretty much anybody, and everybody was more just like, what the fuck is going on right now? And I respect that.
Good job, Congo. And apparently you made a man shit himself. And you know what? I guess that's a win for the movie.
Yeah, I guess, I hope Michael Crichton was impressed, or else, he's going to walk.
I hope the guy changed. I hope the guy paused the film somehow and, changed his underwear.
I hope it happened at the movies and he was fucked.
He just had a wallow in it.
Or he like got up and left. Hopefully it was at a mall movie theater. He went to a fucking Old Navy, got some new stuff, came back, movie was fucking over.
I was just thinking about that, the now controversial can you don't, when Brian was talking about his experience.
Oh my God. That was a hell of a way to get to know him.
Yeah. I got it though. I was like, you know what? Sometimes you just eat something bad. You take that chance and it fucking backfires on you. It happens.
I do have a story I will tell you when we're done here from my youth that I do not look back on proudly.
Yeah. I feel like that's what I like to joke as guys. Our true fear is shitting ourselves. That's the truest fear you have as you get older. It's like, oh God.
I guess so. Well,
I stand by it. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, the review led us to this. Before I reveal what happens on next week's episode, let's go on and do the social media stuff, right? Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram under Filmgazm Productions. If you want to share us a recommendation, feel free to email us at filmgazm@gmail.com. I'm about to finalize something that has to change due to a fucking delay. But if you have suggestions and beat me to it, email us at that email. If you'd like to donate and support us in any way, you can find us on Anchor. And finally, feel free to get on our site, filmgazm.com, for reviews, trailers, articles, and all of our episodes. Now, next week, I've decided, as much as I hate myself already, to get out of my comfort zone, because I have to eventually on this podcast. And I'm going in blind. I believe you're going in blind on a fucking romantic drama that isn't light, which just really cements this even more for how much I'm going to hate it. 1981's Endless Love.
Yeah, here we go. My only experience with this film is the, I believe, Oscar-winning title song, Endless Love, playing during a scene in Happy Gilmore. That is all I've got. So I don't know what to expect here. This is probably going to fucking suck hard for both of us, but that's what this show's about.
Yeah, when I was coming out with the second half of the year and trying to vary it out more, I was like, I got my comfort zone. I can't always do stuff I'm actually kind of wanting to watch, or I know I might have a chance at liking. I was like, I got to do this, and here we are.
As Johnny Knoxville once said, it's content. just keep thinking that to yourself. It's content.
He said said that before they got shot with a fucking riot gun, though.
Yeah, this is probably just as bad on a mental scale.
Okay, fair enough. Oh God. Luckily though, on Filmgazm, I'm a lot happier with that one. We are going to continue the Gauntlet, the film before the epic conclusion to the Gauntlet. But epic in its own right, the other icon of 80s slashers, Freddy Krueger himself, A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Can't wait. Long time coming. It'd be nice. Basically, we're doing these so we can open the floodgates for the sequels.
Yes, and I won't be alone on my like for this one, since apparently my co-host doesn't have good taste. On Oscar Sunday, we'll be looking at the film which put a welcome and unexpected voice for horror, because no one saw this coming. But we'll get more on why on the episode. But Jordan Peele's directorial debut, Get Out.
Yeah, very exciting. Obviously his new one, Nope, comes out on Friday. We're all very excited. And this will be an opportunity to explore how, half of a comedy duo on Comedy Central became an Oscar-winning horror screenwriter who's 3 films into a very interesting career.
And that's just his directing stuff. There's the stuff he's producing, what he's doing for film, with the call to diversity, big time. What he's been able to do with like the Twilight Zone, Lovecraft Country, Candyman. So not even just like, yeah, obviously his director stuff is huge. Based off what we're seeing, he's about to go 3 for 3 and just hit films here. But also like what he's done producing rights since this is just as impressive.
Hell yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, can't wait. I'm looking forward to that one. I will be on this one, unless I get COVID again. But I will be on this one, and I'm looking forward to talking about Get Out, big time. But until then, if you decide to go out and search for lost city or jewel in a foreign country, be careful. Might be some murderous apes. You won't hesitate to defend their treasure. See y'all next week on Beyond the Bad.